the morning of day 5 in Woodland Caribou Provincial Park. We're flown out here by Red Lake Outfitters, and yesterday was our extreme weather event day. So this morning really just tried to get everything dried out. The weather looks pretty variable, so we're not sure what our plan is for the day yet. Still wearing my sash, so even though everything else on me got soaked, the sash didn't seem to get all that wet, and I dried it off by basically laying it over top of me while I slept last night. My felt hat took a beating. It got wet and then it got folded up underneath something, so I'm trying to push it back into its original shape while it dries. And I hung my moccasins and my moccasin liners up in a tree so that they'll dry out. And I'll just have to check on them periodically and just make sure that leather doesn't stiffen up too much as it dries. So we're working on a plan for the day. We just finished breakfast. We're boiling up water because I'm still having trouble with that filter. And we'll see what the day brings us. Okay, just a quick clip because it's our first double header
Fish on
this trip.
Fish on.
Now I gotta reel up. What do you got?
A fish.
Me too. It's a double header again.
Double header. All right, man. This is a go-ahead fish. Tied 2-2. So better not mess it up. But
I hope he loses it at the boat like I did.
Jeremy gets half points for maybe quarter points for the pike. 10th points. 10th point.
Yeah, it's the go-ahead walleye, but Chris is still way behind on total fish today. I hear him scraping the bottom of the boat.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't count that one.
They all count. Oh, I might not be able to count if I lose it.
Yeah, he's just lip hooked, eh?
I'm just gonna catch him just so I can have the go-ahead walleye.
Yeah.
Just barely hooked. There we go. I'm even improving on the net. But I am turning around. It's a lot easier to turn around on the boat than it is to off the front.
Although that front cross piece is a real pain, eh, for flipping around.
Well, yeah,
it's pretty close.
Who put that there? Anyway, I don't know. I might let that guy go. It's pretty small.
Yeah, he's going back.
Yeah. All right. Release him. Oh, you're on still?
Yeah, just a little guy, eh? We'll let that guy go. Whoop. We have 4 in the boat. Thinking to get 6 for 2 meals. This is Haven Lake. Trying to figure out, you probably won't hear them or see them, but there's a couple of ravens. Oh, I might be able to get that guy. A couple of ravens flapping around in here, making a racket. I thought maybe it's young ones begging from the parents. But then I heard another bird make a bit of a racket, so I don't know if there's like some kind of a bird duel going on. Turkey vulture. Wonder if we found a dead fish washed up over there or something. So everything got a good soaking yesterday, but this dry spruce, the wind has been coming through here, and so all these dead twigs are still very dry. They weren't dry this morning, but they seem to have really dried out through the day. It's about noon, and we're gonna make ourselves a little fire. We're gonna cook up some lunch. And then I'm going to show you some supper walleye that I'm going to clean with a stone knife. But before I do that, I'm going to do a little bit of a repair because we were a little bit hard on the knife earlier and some of it loosened up a bit. So I'm going to try my hand at some Paleolithic knife repair. Okay, got my bundle of twigs and I have all my small firewood set aside, so that's ready. And what I wanted to try out today is these paper matches. I've been carrying this little book of paper matches around in here for years, and I have used one of them. I don't even know how long ago that was. So I'm going to try and see if these would have helped me out in an emergency. Right now is not an emergency. And if I can get out of the wind here, I'm going to try and light this twig bundle just off of the one match. So we'll see how we do. Oh, I have ignition and it went out. So we'll try that again. Maybe with two this time. Go big or go home. Oh, just went out again. So what I need is a better windbreak. Maybe just behind this plate. We'll try. Three's a charm, right? Wait for the wind. Oh, almost. We'll use our twig bundle as a windbreak too. Here we go. Ooh. There we go, twigs on fire. Medium sticks on. Those twigs throw a lot of heat. And then keep my paper matches safe so I can use them again. Tucked away in that tin. All right. Here's 2 dinners of pickerel, of walleye. Back home we call them pickerel. You probably know them as walleye. So I am going to clean a couple of these guys with this stone knife. And if you go over to the Wooded Beardsman's channel, you'll see him cleaning a lake trout with this knife. This is a Jay Valente knife. Vision Quest Outdoors. Also on Etsy, Vision Quest Outdoors. And we gave this knife a pretty good wash, and then what happened is it loosened up a bit on us. We weren't careful washing it, and we want to be able to put some pressure on this knife when we're cleaning. So I'm going to work up a batch of pitch glue, and we're going to look at filling in with some pitch glue and then covering over the sinews so that if this knife gets damp, they won't loosen up from the wet. The pitch glue will basically waterproof them. So it's probably going to look a little bit different when I'm finished with it. Alright, so I've got this tin can, and in here there's water and some chunks of the spruce sap that I harvested earlier. And we're just going to set it over here and bring it up to a boil. So boiling it should help to remove some of the impurities in the sap. And what will happen is it should all start to float on the surface. And then you scoop it all up on a stick. Now, this is something I've read about but never done. And something I will need to think about is adding some organic matter. People talk about using like rabbit poops, dry ones, and crushing them down and mixing it, and that helps it to bind together, I guess. Haven't really seen a lot of rabbit poops around, so I might just scrape up some dust off of a dry stick, just like a little pile of it, and mix it into the spruce sap, and then stir that together, and then we'll apply it to the knife handle. We'll do that. You can store it, you can let it cool down and dry, and then you can use it later. So you can make this in advance and carry it around with you as a resource. And we're just going to use it warm right out of the can. Licking my thumb and then pushing that into the little gaps. So we filled in on both sides, and then what I'm going to do, if we just come look up here in this can, now I should be able to scoop out some of that brown, smoother sap glue, kind of like that, and we might just try and apply it on as smooth as we can, and as it cools, get that wet thumb in there and just cover up those sinews a bit. This is my first time making pitch glue, so it's not going to be pretty. Not my prettiest work, but it's hardening up. And maybe if I just get a little bit more warm sap on there, spruce gum, maybe it'll help to hold. And maybe it doesn't have to be that pretty to work, so the blade is a little, well, much more solidly in there, and we'll see how it performs on those walleye. Change of plans. Instead of hanging out here, we're just gonna head ourselves over to Adventure Lake. So we're taking our fish with us, and we're picking berries over there. I'll make the Wooded Beardsman his birthday cake, one day late, and then we're going to do a little loop down to Welkin Lake and back up to Rist. So that was the direction we got from Harlan through our neighbors on their sat phone, was to either stay put here or head up to Rist Lake, and we wanted to travel a little bit more of the park, so that's what we're going to do. Well, we just did the portage into Adventure Lake. I think we were faster than we were yesterday, especially considering we also stopped and picked this full of berries. So I am baking a cake for the Wooded Beardsman tonight. So there's his blueberry strawberry mix for his cake, and we're all loaded to the nines, but we're gonna try and drift troll up a couple trout, or maybe one trout, for a late supper. I'm still gonna do we've been hauling those walleye around. I'm gonna cut those up with the stone knife, and those are gonna be our early supper. So hopefully there's a lake trout shot here partway across the lake, and then we'll land in our camp on the far side. Show me what you got there.
Got a red head and a white jig. I think that's a big 3/8 ounce. 3/8.
And a two-tailed.
Double tail.
Yeah.
Big fat hook. That's
Cool.
it. Drop it down to the bottom.
And it is not the same windiness that it was when we were out here before. It's not windy.
Oh.
We are slow drifting, and we are having no trouble getting down about 40 feet probably.
Yeah, easy.
So this is good. So we're just going to drift our way along until we catch our trout or two for supper and breakfast maybe. We have those pickled to clean. Walleye. Walleye. What? Fish?
Fish on.
Oh, come on. We've been here like
Fish on.
10 minutes. Okay, hold on a second. I got to reel up my... Oh, I really need to reel up. Maybe we'll get a double header.
Oh yeah, that's a good fight too. If I can land this one on that stupid hook though. That's the thing.
Yeah, so Chris is not really a big fan of the single hook on the jigs. He really likes the treble. I'm fishing with a red, well, an orange Swedish pimple with a treble hook. That's a big fish.
Yeah, it's a big fish. I'm gonna play this guy out.
This might be a fish to let go.
That's a big fish, dude. We are playing this fish out. That's a big laker, dude.
This is exciting.
This is a big laker. Oh, look at it thrash in the water. Can you see it? Oh, stay down, stay down, stay down.
There he is. To the surface, he'll have a better chance of tossing that hook, eh?
Yep.
That's what the Wooded Beardsman is worried about.
Every time it turns its neck.
Oh!
It hit it.
It's in the net!
No, that's good enough for both of us to eat.
That's a pretty big one.
It's pretty big, but it's not a super big laker.
No.
There
That's
we go.
a beauty.
Done.
Woo! There. 5-10 minutes of fishing, and like, oh yeah, we'll drift the whole lake, that'll give us a good chance, and then like we hardly get started.
Oh man, my adrenaline's going, man. That's a great fish. That's awesome. And you can see, I don't know if you can tell, but that hook is just in the top of its mouth, right? So if it twists funny, that's it.
Yeah.
It'll spit it out. So it's an easy hook release, but at the same time, if you want to catch a fish to eat, it's risky.
Were you getting double duty out of that tripod?
What? You're filming that, man? Yeah, using the tripod for
as a fish bonker.
Fish bonker.
Yeah.
Check it out. Nice big laker.
Some of the features of our campsite, which are probably obvious on film, and that somewhere along these edges there's a caribou, but I have not seen it yet. When you buy your park permit, you get one of these trash bags with information about litter and tips for travel in the park. So today that became our fish bag. There's our 2 walleye that we've been transporting, and then I will rinse this bag out after, and we will be putting our garbage in it. We haven't generated very much garbage while we're out here. Mostly mostly just fish carcasses, and of course those can go back in the fire, or they can go out in the lake for your turtles and your other fishes and the leeches and everybody else. So let's untie these guys. We had them in the water to keep them cool earlier. I'm gonna have to wash that rope off so that we can use it again later. All right, here are the two fish, and here is Jay Valente's knife, including all the gum, spruce gum that I plastered on there. So it feels pretty dry right now, but I feel from the consistency of it that I didn't quite get the mix right, or the temperature, or I didn't strain enough of the crusty wood pieces out. I'm not really sure, but it does feel pretty sturdy right now. So let's go ahead and see about cutting up some fish. Let's get in under here. There's a cut. And on the other side, the thing about these stone knives is that you have to be really careful that you don't underestimate their sharpness, because you can do yourself some damage. Oh, that's the knife move that unhinged this the last time, I think. Trying to get that belly cut open. Okay, guts out. Alright, so that fish has been opened up with a stone knife, and you could just bake it just like that and then peel the skin off. But what we'll probably do is cut along the ribs here so that we can butterfly it open a little bit. And I might also cut in along the spine here. I'm only even just using the tip of this. Maybe even we will just take some fillets off of this. Can we fillet with this stone knife? One thing you have to be careful of is, because it's got a somewhat jaggedy edge, you gotta watch you don't cut through the ribs, you want to cut along the ribs. And the other thing is, because the knife has the appearance of being thick, you have to remind yourself to not push on the other side of the blade. This is a biface knife, and so both sides are sharp, obviously, and you want to be careful about that. There's a fillet. stone knife. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and then we'll take this over to the fire. I'm just working on this second fish, and there was a couple things I wanted to mention about the stone knife. So one is that I am filleting this walleye with a stone knife, but probably people who were working with stone tools were not preparing their fish in this way. I think, as we've talked about in other videos, this is probably one of the most wasteful ways to eat a fish. And so people would have basically been cooking the whole fish. We're just trying to expedite our supper, so we're going to break this guy down into more cookable portions. Also, the stone knife edge every one is going to be unique, and because of that you're going to probably find, as I have, a bit of a sweet spot, and then you might do ow, I got spined by that fish. Oh, and find a sweet spot to work with. See those spines? Those are mean. They're like needles. I got one under my fingernail and I'm bleeding. So what was I saying? People wouldn't have done this with a stone tool. I'm just doing it because I was curious about it, and certainly don't recommend this as a normal traditional use of a stone knife. However, if you're taking apart other game that is more suited to being eaten in smaller pieces, like deer or bear, a stone knife is going to be great. It's really good for cutting cordage, especially because it tends to have a somewhat jagged blade, and that is better for cutting cordage. Probably is also really effective at cutting through leather and other materials like that. And again, just reiterating that because it's a bi-face blade, it doesn't have to be. You could make a single face blade, as the other knife is that we have here. We have to be really careful that you don't go and put your thumb down on that other blade side, because you could do yourself some damage, and that would not be cool. Anyway, I'm almost done. I did that other fish. This is the one fillet off of the second fish, and then the skin's always the hardest part. And then we'll go cook. It's time to make that cake. First you need a pot, then you need your cake mix, which in this case is the same cornbread mix that I used in an earlier video. It has cornmeal, corn flour, baking soda, baking powder, and salt. And to that we are going to add the last of our ooey gooey butter. So let's do this. Dry ingredients. Oh yeah, the Wooded Beardsman brought some of his own maple sugar, so we should put some of that in there. It's cake after all. And we should make ourselves a little spatula, and we should mix that up a bit, break up some of these sugar clumps. Although biting into a sugar clump in your cornbread is definitely not the worst thing in the world. Alright. Oh. Ooey gooey butter. This is basically a lesson in how not to pack butter. don't pack your butter in a Ziploc. Pack it in a Tupperware. And we're just gonna pour that in there. I think there's a few twigs too, but we're not too worried about that. Oh, okay. There's our spatula. And just mix that in a little bit here. Looking good. Looking good. Okay, that melted butter is pretty evenly dispersed through here now. We need to add some water back. Okay. Here's some water. Did you see where I put my spatula? I'm gonna have to make a new one. Oh, maybe not. There's the Wood's Beardsman's fork. Let's stir our water in. We need more water. We're going to steal it from the Wooded Beardsman because I ran out. So we don't want a dry mixture, but we also, oops, don't want a runny mixture. We're working on the 5-second rule, right? Take the twigs out of it. That looks pretty good. We're gonna add just a little splash more. And then the berries. I thought I was organized and had them here beside me, but I don't. Just a second again. Found them. Look at all those. This is going to be a very berry cake. There are raspberries and blueberries, but there's also one service berry and a few currants. This might be more like a berry cobbler. Cornbread berry cobbler. Oh, not on camera, but look at that. I was mixing. And then we'll sprinkle some more on top. Delphine lent me this for this trip. I know you're thinking, that's the stupidest telescope I've ever seen. I know you're thinking, you just ripped that off of somebody's old car antenna? You're thinking, that's a really weird tall champagne glass. You're thinking, it's like the flute? Watch this. Magic. You're thinking, is that for sucking the eyeballs out of the fish? You're thinking, is that a telescopic fishing rod? I just have to remember to rotate this around so it doesn't just get hot on one side. And the first two fillets are just about done. These two I just moved up to the heat, and I just was trying to get the heads in a little bit closer so they start to cook. And I believe the Wooded Beardsman is bringing another course of fish. Okay, I took those two finished ones off. And there they are. That's pretty good. See our next course waiting here to go on the fire. Cake's cooking. These other fillets will be done shortly. So we're just going to snack as we go. Very good stuff. Okay, so far that walleye is a pretty awesome snack. Leading up to supper. Let's have a look at this. Ooh. Almost. Almost. But not quite. Oh, it's gonna taste so good. I need to get it so it's staying nice and hot, but not on the direct flame. Try and tuck it in the back there. Soon. Right, we've been snacking on the walleye. I'm just gonna flip this around so I can see myself. So we've been snacking on the walleye. We have this trout butterfly and ready to go on. We have the cake, which should be done really, really soon. And we have these walleye heads, which have become kind of one of our favorite parts, I guess. Walleye head, it's hot on the one side, but the upside part is not too hot. Oh, yeah. It's too hot to suck that eyeball out. Or set it aside to cool. This one too. We'll give you an intermission. We'll be back for the eyeball suck. Alright, we're back. Hope you enjoyed the intermission. We are going to have some eyeballs, check this cake, and then move on to our next course. Oh, it's the perfect temperature. Look at that. It's like, when was the last time you had grilled eyeballs? For me, it was yesterday. How about you, Wooded Beard?
Right about the same.
Oh, they're pretty good. They're all really good juices in behind the eyeballs too. And then, by the time the eyes have cooked, usually there's still lots of good meat on the back of the neck here that you can peel out. That's pretty good. And the cheek meat. There's a cheek medallion. People always get excited about those. Cheek medallion on the other side. There it is. Okay. I'll chew on that. Check cake. Got one? What are you waiting?
Oh, which head?
Yeah.
Not right now.
No.
I'm gonna grab my eggs.
Okay. Oh, looks good. Smells good. It's a little bit sticky still. Leave it on for a couple more minutes, but I think it's pretty much done.
Grease and all that sort of stuff in there. Yummy.
That's not it yet.
jeez. Hold on. Oh, look at that. Fancy schmancy.
Those are from the Woodbeard's wife. They're part of the package.
Yeah.
Yep.
The question is who's gonna sing to me?
Bonne fête, Christophe. Bonne fête, Christophe. It's too windy, your candles went out.
Oh, jeez.
How old are you?
I guess I get my wishes because nature's blowing them out for me.
How old are you? Ah, too windy.
Have to let them go a little bit longer.
There it is. Happy birthday.
Thanks. All right, so I get to make a wish. All right.
Hey!
Cool. Let's eat.
All right.
Actually looks really good.
You can smell the maple syrup.
Mmm. Still warm too. Fresh out of the oven. That's a good texture.
It's got a lot of berries.
Yeah, it's not cakey. It's more oatmeal-y or mushy. Pudding.
Cobbler?
It's good though. I like say it's not good. It's definitely good.
It's challenging conditions to bake a cake.
It's always challenging to cook over fire. If we make it look easy, it's not easy.
No.
We're constantly monitoring and tending and keeping the temperature right.
.9:05, so the sun's about to go down shortly. There's a real great purple color on the hills over there. And somewhere hiding over there, there's a woodland caribou. I just haven't seen it yet. That's gotta happen. All right. We do also still have this trout, and we're gonna work away at eating this, but we're not gonna show the whole thing. It's got the adobo spice on it. It's been butterflied, so it was flipped over, meat side down to start, skin side down to finish. And we're also just finishing up the cake. So that's a wrap on that one. Probably going to get a pretty nice sunset tonight. And tomorrow's a bit of a travel day for us. So I feel like this video, there's more preceding it, there's more coming after. And I'll see you next time.